Tyron, congratulations on a victory this evening.
Thank you.
No, it's still fresh, but just give us your thoughts overall. A very, very intense fight, very technical fight. How did you feel about your performance overall this evening?
You know, when you fight someone for the second time, especially somebody like Wonder Boy, he's really crafty. A lot of people don't realize what I'm seeing when I'm in there is not the same thing that the fans may see. They want to see the bulldozer come forward because they've seen me do that so many times. But when I came for it a few times, you saw me get those double right hands upside the head. So his counterattacks is a lot. You know, he's probably the best counterattacker in our division. So I had to be cautious. I had to be patient. I had to really block out the boos, and I had to find the right entry to get in close enough to do damage. And it took a while for me to get there, but I got it done.
You know, among the media and among fans, scoring was across the board. Some of those rounds were very tight and tough to score. How did you guys have it, and how comfortable were you, especially after given what happened in the first fight, that you had done enough to win?
You know, I didn't get a chance to talk to Steven afterwards very much. But me personally, I thought the fight was close. I thought it was close going into the 5th round. You know, it's kind of a sci-fu. You know, I didn't really realize exactly what round we were in and what. But my coaches always tell me to finish strong, finish hard. And you guys know me, man. I've only had like 3 decision, fights, probably in the UFC, maybe a couple more. But in general, I'm always trying to finish anyway. I'm always trying to finish the fight. So when I hit him, I knocked him down. I saw him hurt. I guess I knocked him down again. I didn't recognize I knocked him down twice in the round. And my coaches told me I probably shouldn't have hit him again because it looked like he was out. But he's a tough kid, man. He got a tough chin. I haven't hit anybody that many times, and they lasted since Carlos Condit. So hats off to Stephen Thompson. Very difficult guy to prepare for. Very annoying training camp to bring in guys. And, I'm excited to move on with my career and prepare for a regular freestyle fighter.
I know that, you're accustomed to kind of getting a little bit of disrespect and that sort of thing, being, the underdog, and, there were the boos tonight. But I want to ask you, was it a frustrating fight for you? Because it did seem like, you were doing and trying to do what you could, but again, both counterpunches in there, moments of inactivity. Was it frustrating for you to stick to the game plan and maybe not come out of your shell a little bit and put yourself at risk?
Yeah, it was frustrating. I mean, there were moments where I should have, maybe faked the shot, came up punching, went back to the shot, came up punching. Just some stuff to chop the street down to get a little closer to a longer opponent. So, yeah, I could have done a little bit more of that. But there were times where the opening wasn't there for the takedown. It wasn't there. Like trying to just jab him in the face is hard because he looks a lot closer than what he is, and he's waiting to fade back and counter with his right hand. And I've seen it time and time again. He fades back, counter right hand, lead leg roundhouse, and that's what he knocked guys out. I mean, he did kick me in the head this time. Last fight, I was able to neutralize every single kick he threw. I think he landed maybe 1 in the throat. This time he landed probably 2 upside the head. So, I was tough and I stepped forward. That's what champions do.
I guess I'll ask you since I thought someone else had the mic. In the 5th round, Tyron, you came out so hard, which you didn't do in those other rounds. And I wonder why you felt the need to do that if you felt it was going okay for you, in the first 4.
Well, you never know if it's okay for you. You should never go in there with the mindset, okay, I'm up, let me coast, because that's how you go out there and you lose a fight. I just wanted to finish strong. If I would have won all 4 rounds clearly and dominated him and took him down and laid on top like everybody wants to see me do, then I would have still came out hard in the 5th round. That's just the way that we train. That's the way we practice, and that's just ingrained in my mind.
And I wasn't suggesting that you knew, but I was suggesting that since that was successful, had you thought about that even earlier in the fight, because obviously your pressure forced him to change and you were able to land that right hand.
My coaches, obviously a little tentative from the last fight, the way the judging went. And, I really feel like they were telling me, go, go, go. You got to go forward, because they didn't want me to ease up and think that I was winning the fight. And, I'm just glad my conditioning is to a point where I can forget I was in the damn 5th round. I thought we were in the 4th round until my coach reminded me. So I'm just blessed to have a great coaching staff, great team behind me, and I'm really coming into my own as a champion.
Tyron over here. Do you feel tonight's fight was closer than the first one?
It's fun. I do think tonight's fight was closer than the first one, actually. I think that the first fight, if the scoring would have been different with the 10-8 rounds, maybe I would have had 2 10-8 rounds in the first round and the 4th round. And the 3rd round was a swing round. This fight was very close. I think the first round he won. The 2nd round, I don't remember what happened. 3rd round, I believe that's when I scored a takedown. 4th round, maybe he won. In the 5th round, did I get a 10-8 that round? I'm assuming. One
That's
gave me
right.
10-8. All right, so it was some damage done in that round. So it was kind of hard to say. And once again, I was just looking at his eyes, looking at his feet, and I was trying to move forward and close the gap.
Does it frustrate you or even mattered when Dana was in here earlier and said that he basically wasn't impressed and he's kind of frustrated and he said he doesn't know what's going to happen with y'all next?
Well, I mean, I want to see Dana get in there and fight Wonder Boy. Watch everybody else that walked in there. Watch Patrick Cote. Watch Robert Whitaker. Watch all these guys that thought they were just going to bulldoze him and they disrespected his style. I did the opposite. I embraced his style. I brought in the world champion currently, Avery Plowden, in his weight division. I brought in Sage Northcutt. I brought in Chris Bang. I brought in tons of guys in the actual sport fighting world, Raymond Daniels, and you can't disrespect that style. What happens is you think you got it figured out, and kicks and punches come from weird angles, and you find yourself without this, and you find yourself knocked out. So I know, this is a sport where you guys love to see knockouts. You love to see the glory. You love to see blood, guys getting beat up, and then he find a way to come back, and then other guy, the teeter. I love it. I love watching it as well. But guess what? I love being the world champion, and sometimes it's not the sexiest fight on earth.
At least in my next question, I asked one what the same as that question. Does it bother you the fact that people think getting hit is cool?
No, I mean, getting hit should never be cool. The art should be hitting and not getting hit, but you have to still be able to get hit and walk forward. In the first round, he hit me with a couple punches back to back. I think he doubled up on the right hand, and he hit me in the eye, and I had to blink because I couldn't really see well. Then I got kicked in the head a couple times. I had to walk forward. That mentally breaks guys sometimes because when they're used to guys that get hit, they back up and they're passive. But when somebody get hit and they step forward like the Terminator, it puts like, damn, what kind of person is this? And the same thing with him, man. I took his head off again. Fifth round was very similar to the fourth round in the first fight. And he's just not a quitter, man. He's a championship-type kid. In the future, he might become the champion. Who knows? He has the intangibles, but at the end of the day, I did what I needed to do to get it done.
Tyron, I know it's important to you to continue to build your audience. When you have a performance like this, when you have a fight like this, how difficult is it to, further that cause?
A fight like what? A world championship fight against a very tough opponent, a chess match and a rematch?
Yeah.
Is that what the fight you're talking about?
I don't think it was well received by the fans, is what I'm saying.
That's okay. Well, the fans can also tap in. I'll pause the fight. They can enter the cage. I'll exit the cage, and they can show me how to do it better. It's so easy to say it from that seat you're sitting in, but when you're fighting a world-class fighter who's finished so many opponents, so many knockouts, so many tricks up his sleeve, sometimes you have to be patient. You have to find that moment, and the moment came in the fourth round. It came in the first round of the last fight. This fight, it really didn't come into the fifth round. Now, granted, as I said before, I could have created that atmosphere. I could have did that with more feints, more level changes, more takedowns, attempts, combinations. But at the end of the day, if I worried about what the fans said, I wouldn't be in this position right now. So I love the fans. They make our sport. They make the UFC what it is. But I'm the person that's in there fighting, and this is the toughest division in the world.
When you look at that division, who do you want most of all next?
If I say I want to fight someone, then the whole internet goes crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go vacation. I'm shooting a movie next week, taking my family to Puerto Rico after that. And, I'll let my managers and Dana White figure that out.
Thank you.
Hey, Tyron. The week leading up to the fight, you told reporters not to ask you about GSP versus Bisping.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the fight's over, can I ask you about GSP versus Bisping?
GSP versus Bisping, that's their fight, man. I feel like what God has for me and what's in my, future and what's in my plans is in my plans. That wasn't in my plans. George St. Pierre could have easily, you came for 1 second to tell me that if George St. Pierre wanted to fight me, they would have canceled me and Steven's fight. They would have rebooked him with somebody else, had him fight Damian Maia. He probably would have waited in a back wing for a second, and I would have fought George. He has enough power, and he's done enough for the sport to be able to come back and do that type of move. Look at Yoel Romero. He's going to have to take a backseat and chill out for a second. So I just think that fight is for them. I think what's going to be in the future for me, what's in my plans, is for me. And when those things happen, I'll just continue to beat everyone, continue to try to be the best welterweight I can, and eventually when I finish and it's all said and done, I want to be the greatest of all time.
Tyron right here. Same question I asked Stephen Thompson. I'm going to ask you. there seemed to be like a lot of a stalemate when you guys would get closer to each other. Like you would close the distance, but then you guys would sit in front of each other.
Kind of weird, right?
Yeah, and try to
That's how
figure
it
each
felt.
other out. And it was weird watching it. So what was going through your mind at that time? It almost seemed like you were both kind of nervous to exchange for a while.
I wouldn't say nervous. I would say more of I would say the stalemate is probably the proper term. You got two guys that are counter strikers. I will go forward and be offensive, but I'm always waiting on that one punch to come lazy, that one punch to come really obvious, and that's when I walk you down and try to knock you out. So he was cautious, man. You can't get hit by a right hand from me and get knocked down, get taken down and ground and pounded out, and think he's just going to gracefully walk me down and try to put that heat on me. He had to be cautious. He had to keep it at range. That's his style. Like, I can't expect him, like, he's a point fighter. Do you guys expect him to come out and wrestle me and take me down and break my arm, do submissions? No. You expected him to play the range, play from the outside, and he expected me to come in close. Did you expect me to win the kicking battle, spinning wheel kicks, side kicks, counter punching? No. It's just styles makes fights. Last time you guys were, blessed and entertained because, a few moments I just said F it and walk forward, and that's how you got those great moments.
One more question, a little bit off-topic question. Your ring music that you come out to, I noticed is a bit, I guess, personal to you because it's a hometown St. Louis artist. Why do you feel that music's special to you?
I feel it's special to me because before I even knew that he was a St. Louis artist, he was just a nationally recognized artist for gospel rap. And the lyrics to the song was just saying I have my full armor on, my head high, and I'm going into battle. And I always feel like this is a spiritual warfare for me. So when I talk about carrying my shield and going into battle, and I think about all the distractions, all the ways out, all the people that want to see me lose, it's a lot of pressure. People don't understand that. You think you got this, your life has changed. To be honest with you, my life is a little bit better before I had the belt, if you want to be real. So with that said, I play that music, it gets me going, it really feels soothing for me, and that's why I keep rolling with it.
Why was your life better?
Huh?
Why was it better?
Well, you got to wait on Brad, he got the mic. And I get a chance to think about what I'm going to say.
It's all right, I'll be a gentleman. Go ahead, Kev. What do you got?
Okay. Let me choose my words wisely. I see Lene looking at me on the left, camera left. I just think that, it's a lot of pressure as a champion. I think that, you got to separate yourself. You want to be the best in the world. You want to wear the gold. It comes with a lot. It comes with a lot on your platter. It comes with a lot of expectations, a lot of, obligations. And I feel at a certain level you have a duty. And I feel like part of the time my duty is to, be honest. And if I see something that's incorrect, speak on it. If I see something that's, right, congratulate that as well. And in our society, everyone doesn't like to hear the truth all the time. And when you speak the truth, sometimes people are either sensitive or insensitive. And, as we all know, I see all you guys quiet. I don't want to ask me the wrong questions. Sometimes I get a little bad rap for, just speaking on things that I think are true.
Tyron, just a real quick question about the scoring right here. Those first two rounds, a lot of people are already talking about those just because they are difficult rounds to score because just not a whole lot happens.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get your opinion. As the guy who's fighting with his back sort of towards the fence, does that make you anxious when you're thinking back on how they score this fight before it's red? Do you think about that? Like that can be seen as a disadvantaged position?
I think that's a misconception in fighting. A great example, I was cornering my buddy Eve Edwards when he was fighting Tony Ferguson. And he had his back against the cage, but Tony Ferguson throw a punch. Eve would light him up with 4 or 5 punches and throw a leg kick. And he would do it again. He would slip a punch, 2 or 3 punches, throw a leg kick. The judges scored in Tony's favor because they call it ring generalship. So sometimes you think that just because you're moving forward, you're the aggressor and you're doing the damage. Sometimes it's the opposite. I've knocked a lot of guys out going backwards. So it doesn't always mean that you're the aggressor, especially when you're throwing and missing, or you're throwing and not landing, or you're not throwing at all. So it's hard to judge those rounds just because it wasn't a lot of activity. Now, had I, been smeared against the octagon and I was getting lit up with 5 punch combinations, kicks to the body, and all the other stuff, then it would have been a little easier to see. But, sometimes when you fight a point fighter who you expect to run around and basically stick and move, I might need that entire 31-foot octagon to go from my back against the cage to go all the way across the blitz to get the opening I need.
I don't know if you are aware of this or not, but Dana came in and he did say, and he wasn't real like adamant about it or anything, that the scoring was controversial, but he did admit that he had it 3-2 for Stephen Thompson. I guess, are you bothered by that the president will come out and say that he had it for the other guy, or is that not bother?
No, not really. I mean, that's why he's not the judge. I mean, he's the president of the UFC. He told me the same thing in the back. I took no offense to it. Sometimes you watch fights, you watch it with emotion. And, if you know Dana, his fight style is the freaking, what's my man, Diego Sanchez, these dudes that are beating each other up. That's his stuff. That's his style. It's not always the most attractive fight to see the guys that are playing a chess match. So, no, it didn't offend me at all. And it was a close fight.
I know you said you don't know what's going to be next, or you don't want to, call out anybody because it seems like you get backlash when you do it. Nick Diaz was in the building. Did you happen to cross paths with him at all tonight?
No, I saw Nate. I didn't see Nick. To be honest, man, like I said before, if I say I want a fight, y'all gonna get me started. I was trying to get out of here without getting started. Lene twitting her fingers in the corner. If I call somebody out, it's a problem, and we all know that. But we see my peers not only call out, but get fights that are maybe not, kind of unorthodox matchups, and it's never an issue, it's never a problem. So therefore, I'm just gonna continue to get the contracts, sign the contracts, get the W, and at the end of the day, as long as I keep fighting, winning, then you're gonna not be able to deny me what I'm deserved.
Last thing, do you have any kind of timeline? Like, do you want some time off? Do you want to fight in the summer, or do you have any?
I'm not
kind
hurt
of
or
timeline?
anything. I feel good. It's funny. My last this training camp, man. I felt so amazing. My conditioning was on point. I pushed myself to the limit. My 2 training camps before, which I never speak about injury, I never speak about what's wrong with me, because I feel like if you sign a dotted line, you go out there, win, lose, or draw, you take it, you take the W or you take the L. But my hamstring was completely torn for Robbie Lawler's fight. My hamstring and my foot was torn for freaking Stevie fight. It never healed up. I found out that I was anemic, and I literally went through that training camp, and I couldn't run like I wanted to. I couldn't wrestle like I wanted to. And I feel like when I went out and fought him on pure heart, it looked to be a better performance than this camp, where I had all my blood levels fine. I was freaking running. I hadn't taken supplements in 2 years. I started taking some honest supplements. My body started feeling better and recovering. So with that said, you would have imagined, my coaches and myself would imagine to go out here and dominate. That's why I'm acting like, I'm not really satisfied with what happened tonight. It's not that I had a horrible fight or, some travesty took place. It's the fact that the way that I trained for this fight, the way that I was ready to go, I expected to go out there and purely dominate and possibly finish.
Tyron, right here in the middle.
What's up, brother?
Congratulations on the win.
Thanks.
The last fight, you had to kind of go through the Oscar moment where they told you won, then they kind of took it away from you.
Yeah.
I know champions a lot of times say they feel like a champion when you defend the title. So how was the emotion in that moment when you finally, kind of got that moment where you defended your title?
I'm still waiting on that moment, brother. Hasn't came yet. I thought I was going to have it with Robbie. It's kind of bittersweet because he was a friend and a teammate, so I didn't really feel the need to celebrate. Obviously, the anticlimactic moment in New York, and then this moment. So hopefully my next few defenses or so, I'll finally feel that feeling like I'm the champion.
I know you have a ton of respect for Steven, but you said stylistically you have to be careful with a guy like that. There's a certain way you have to fight him or risk having what happened to a lot of his other opponents.
Yeah.
Is there any part of you that's kind of happy to move past him to kind of, because you did have a vicious knockout over Robbie, you had a vicious knockout over Dong Hyun Kim. I know every fight can't be that way, but is there some part of you that's like looking to maybe get a different stylistic matchup now?
Well, I'd be a damn lie if I said no, for sure. You know how much money it costs to train with Raymond Daniels, to train with Sage Northcutt, to bring in Avery Plowden, to bring in a guy from Orlando, a guy from freaking Virginia, a guy from Detroit. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. I am ecstatic to train for a regular freestyle fighter, even if it's someone that, like, a jiu-jitsu guy, like maybe Damian Maia, or a striker with good wrestling defense. Like, I literally, for an entire training camp, if I see another foot go towards my head, I'm going to freak out.
And last question, kind of a two-part question. You're not going to call anybody out, but obviously we know the fight coming up in May between Damian Maia and Jorge Masvidal. A lot of people would say that's probably a number one contenders match, especially for Damian Maia. Kind of two-part. One, how do you see that fight going? And two, is there any kind of emotion for you because Jorge's your teammate? I mean, they kind of put you right back in that Robbie Lawler situation where a guy that I'm sure you care about, a guy you consider a friend, could be knocking on the door to fight you for the title.
That's so far away, man. May's going to come up, and I'm pretty sure those guys aren't going to fight in May and then be ready to fight again in April. So we're in March right now. I'll watch that fight and see what happens. Low-key, I kind of feel a little bit bad for Damian Maia because I feel like he should have been fighting me tonight. And he has to fight George. George is a tough matchup for him. They couldn't have matched him up any better as far as style matchup. It's very tough to take him down. And on George's side, I'm a champion, man. This is a sport, and we got to do what we have to do. I'm not in the business of trying to deny people their opportunities to try to feed their family and be a world champion. So I'll watch that fight, see how it goes, and we'll go from there.
Tyron, just a couple of questions in regard to a few things Stephen Thompson said when he was out here earlier and gave credit to you. He said that in terms of the biggest difference for him fighting you in the second fight compared to the first is that he felt like you were giving him far fewer opportunities to capitalize throughout the fight. Was that something you were aware of from the beginning to the end of the fight, that you were tighter in your or more conservative in your chances to give him opportunities?
I can speak on it now because I don't think we're going to run this back right now. But just in general, when Steven starts to faint and he starts to, kind of stutter his front leg, I know he's coming in. And to neutralize that, all I had to do was fake a little level change shot because then he has to give me my respect because I'm a All-American wrestler. So I utilized that. He utilized his feints. I utilized my fakes. So we kind of went back and forth. And I don't know that he didn't get the opportunity, but I don't think we gave each other the opportunity because this is a big fight, man. This is a world championship. I can go out there and give you guys what you want and spinning back fist, side kick, flying knee, get my ass knocked out, and now I got to go home, not with my belt, making way less money, and getting back on the drawing board. How hard do you think it would be for me to build back up and get a title shot? I got to think it'll be 2, 3, 4 fights.
There was also a moment in the third with your takedown where you had wrist control on his right arm and you had his arm pinned kind of underneath his body. It was a very precarious position for him. Can you talk us through that moment? Did you sense that maybe that might be an opportunity to finish the fight ground and pound if you'd have been able to hold him there a little longer?
This is going to sound funny, but I train that position every dang on day. The side that I want to be on is the opposite arm with my opposite hand, which would be my right hand, to punch, and it'll go for my head and arm triangle. So when I took him down, I had that wrist. I was in my mind thinking like, damn, how can I switch over to the other wrist? And when I thought about that, you saw me kind of pull him off the cage, and I turned his direction to go the other direction, and that's when he started making his way up. At that point, I just kind of let it get back to the feet, I guess.
Tyron, just a quick follow-up with you. Are you comfortable waiting till May 13th to determine what your next move is? I mean, obviously that's 2 months out. Were you hoping to have an idea of what comes next before that? Or are you comfortable waiting till that Maia Masvidal fight on May 13th?
You guys giving me a lot of power because I run all the shots. I tell you who I'm fighting, when I'm fighting, how I'm fighting them. I think we know how this game goes, guys. I don't. I have an influence and I can speak on what I would like to happen, but at the end of the day, I'm not in absolute control of that. But my managers will, try to put me in the best position for me. George said this the other day, and I can't really knock George for fighting Bisping. He made a lot of sense in his reasons for wanting to fight him. But it's all about timing. I never said I wouldn't fight Steven. I just didn't think it necessarily had to happen today. I could have fought Damian Maia. Then I could have fought him. You know what I mean? So it's all about shuffling the deck. So a lot can happen between now and May. What happens if one of those guys, God forbid, incur an injury and then they're out? I might be fighting the person that's, still healthy. Who knows? What if something happens between George St. Pierre and Bisping, who one of those guys are, not able to fight? And I'm not wishing harm or injury on anyone, but we know our sport. We train so hard. Most of the injuries take place in the training camp just to get prepared for a fight. So, like I said, I'm going to just stay in shape, stay training, and we'll see what happens.